Hey y'all, welcome to the filling station. It has been an interesting day in the market. Let me go ahead and say that. But let me give my disclaimer first, y'all. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth, and the stock market is just one of those avenues. This video is for educational purposes only. With that being said, y'all, let's get started. So we are looking at the SPY. And if let me go ahead and say this. Sometimes there's days that we could trade and we get in and out and make some decent profit because we got a clear signal, clear picture as to today's a good day to trade. But sometimes I always say we can learn from the market or we can trade, right? So I use a lot of today as a learning day because once you look at the SPY on the 30-minute time frame, you see we really just consolidated or created a gathering spot or just went sideways most of the day. This is where we are, right? So it's kind of hard. I mean, you can go in and scalp this, but to try to go in and stay in for long periods of time, you can lose money. So let's go to the 5-minute time frame. And as you can see, if we would have gotten in right at the open and got out like a quick scalp at the open to the and get out, that would have been decent, right? And then it consolidated a little bit here or created another gathering spot for us, as I like to say. And then we had a signal here with the 5 and 50 crossing in the MACD. We could have entered here for a scalp from here at 518, somewhere around here, and get out at this double top here, only to it gave us a little breather for a moment here. We could have got back in it to the downside and scalped it here and possibly back up to this. So that's kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4 trades basically. And you have to know when to get in and when to get out. Otherwise, that would have just been a very different place to trade or time to trade. You would have lost a lot of money. And another thing, if you trade options, if you do same day expiration, time would not have been your friend in this case, and it could have very well went against you and you would have lost money based on time. Let me say that. And then this sideways movement here, that was just a way. I mean, you could not have made decent profit in this area here. So sometimes you have to know when to trade and when not to trade, and that's just discipline, right? And I say all the time that trading requires discipline. So that's something to think about. Tesla, it was interesting. It was interesting, right? So the 5 and 50 crossed right at the beginning, right at the open. So if you got in the open and rode the 5 to the upside, that was a decent trade, from the 160, it's 169, 170 range all the way up to the 174. And if you didn't get in it at that point, I mean, maybe you could have taken it to the downside for a scalp from the top down to the bottom. That's buying off of rejection, right? Our MACD gave us a signal here. We will be buying off of rejection. Okay, this sideways activity here, I mean, we could have gotten in at this bottom, but look at those wicks and how that to me was like a choppy area. And for you to be up and down, up and down, up and down, and you just got to know Tesla. It just traded really different, in my opinion, today. So again, looking at it on the 30-minute time frame, your entry, I mean, you could have stayed in it up until at least 2 o'clock, no later than 2:30. It started going, coming down under the 5 EMA at that point. So, there's I mean, it's basically how you trade, right? You want to make strategic trades that are going to be profitable for you, but that whipsaw up and down type activity, I don't seem to do well with that. So that's why I say today for me was more or less a learning day and just watching the market. We have information coming out on, I think, Wednesday. So I would say be careful because Tesla looked like it's up. In my opinion, I don't know if I trust to move up or if we're going to stay to the upside, considering, we were just at the 167 range and now we're at, 174 was the high for today. And yeah, Tesla is Tesla, but it does that. Let me say that Tesla does that. The video was interesting today. When I watched it pre-market, it looked like it was gonna, give us a little bit of something to the upside, which I mean, I guess it made a high of 890, but it traded down most of the day. And if you got in this and bought it off of the high, that would have been a decent trade. Looking at it on the 30-minute chart, the 5 and the 50 did cross here, so around 10:30. Seemed like that would have been a decent trade to the downside, and it's under the 5 EMA. So, and it stayed under the 5 EMA. So, if you traded Nvidia today to the downside, that's a good trade. And just because we marked the inside day candles, it did not it didn't reach the target at all. It tried to break through the target, and I think that's what I was looking at pre-market. It tried to break through, but it seemed like we had some trouble at that ATR trailing stop, or that 200 EMA right here on the 30-minute chart. That seemed to be our resistance or our trouble place here. And looking at it on the 5-minute time frame, to me, when I look at it and see all of these wicks on the top and wicks on the bottom, to me that's like tug of war between buyers and sellers. And if you got in again at the as soon as the bell rung, that would have been a nice trade to the downside. You could have scalped it back to the upside here, bought and got out. When I say scalp, get in, get out. And right here, we could have bought it off of rejection back to the downside and stayed in it for a while here. But again, I don't do well when I see the wicks the way that they are, a wick at the top and a wick at the bottom. And it's just like that throughout. So to me, I use it as a learning experience. And you see how your MACD is just really, really close to one another versus separated like here. I tend to not want to trade areas like that. But again, that's what works best for me. With trading, is just coming up with a plan that works best for you, right? So this is AMD. Let's look at it on a 30-minute time frame. On the 30-minute, it just shows that it really just went sideways, like the SPY, in my opinion, and Nvidia and Tesla. It seemed like everything was just going pretty much sideways. I mean, you could have gotten in for some scalping moves, and that's a quick in and a quick out. Let me say that. So here with AMD, if you got in and right when the bell rung to the downside, it came and found support off this ORV low, only to go back to the upside, which our MACD gave us a signal here, and the 5 and 50 cross, which was another signal here. So that's something that we could have entered. Let me make that bigger. Yes, MACD gave us a signal here back to the upside, and the 5 and 50 crossing was a confirmation back to the upside. So if you got in this back, around this area, that would have been a decent 168 to 171. That would have been a decent area to get into to scalp. And again, I just look at how overall the market was and how things were going. And if you made profit today, congratulations, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. I always say that we go in, we try to find places that we can make money, but it seemed like everything that I was looking at today was one of those places that's like, okay, I'm going to just make the decision to sit on the sidelines. I can watch the game, and I'm okay with watching the game from the sidelines. And you've got to get to that place that some days may not be a good trading day for you. With me, I have a limit. Once I lose that limit, I'm out. I'm done for the day. I need to go and do something else, take my mind off of it, or just continue to look at it. The discipline comes in at when you want to just jump in and take the trade anyway, and that's not always a good thing, because when you're already, if you're in the down or negative, then jumping into a trade and your mindset is not clear, then you're probably still stuck on that last loss that you made instead of going into it with a fresh mind. So that's something to think about. When I tell you trading is really it's about thinking, the psychology of trading, and getting your mind right and making sure that you can bounce back from a loss or bounce back when things go against you. So that's something to be mindful of. I will say trading will teach you a lot. Let me say that. So this is Microsoft. Yeah, Microsoft at the beginning, as soon as the bell rung right at 9:30, we had a 5 and 50 here. So look, we could have scalped it to the downside, same exact thing as AMD. And with 5 and 50 crossed back to the upside, that would have been a decent 423 up to 427 for Microsoft, and then back to gathering spot again here on this 5-minute. If we would have taken it back to the downside here, that would have been a decent trade to the downside here. It's just this area right here I would not have wanted to trade. And if you see the MACD, that's another signal for me as to why I don't want to. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I just. This area here is an area that I wouldn't want to trade, and I would look at the MACD and it tells me that those lines are just too close to one another. I don't have a clear separation as I do right here. So that's something to be mindful of. So yeah, today has been a very interesting day. Let me say that. I want to say this again, that every day may not be a trading day. Some days are just a learning opportunities for us to go in and look at how the market, how the overall market is moving today or that day. So normally I would just sit back and just like Tesla. I studied the stock for years before I even really start trading it consistently or every day. So sometimes we can just pick a stock and just see how it runs today or how it moves or where I would have entered or where I would have gotten out. So yeah, y'all, I hope this is very, very helpful. Listen, we learn and we grow together. I make these videos so that, I teach you some of the things that I had to learn the easy way and the hard way. Let me say that. So thank you so much for watching today. I hope that everyone had an awesome day today. And listen, we live to trade another day. Let's say that, right? So until next time, y'all, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.